Samuel Boehlke went missing in Crater Lake National Park near the Cleetwood Cove Overlook. Now, Joe, have you ever been to Crater Lake?
No, and ever since we did our last episode, a friend of mine just went and he said it was gorgeous. And they went because they listened to the show and he was heading out that way. So they never thought to stop until they listened to it, which I thought was ironic because it was about a missing person. But but no, he said it was really beautiful. And ever since then, if I get out to Oregon, that's definitely one of the places I want to stop at.
Yeah, same here. I've never been there, but it's definitely on my bucket list of places to hike. So Crater Lake National Park is located in Oregon, and it's a pretty big park. It's about 286 square miles. It's an old park, too. It was established in 1902, and it's a very popular park. They had in 2017 about 711,000 visitors. So a very popular park. It's a beautiful place to visit. The water is crystal blue. The pictures look amazing. Long before it became a national park, some interesting history here. There was a Native American tribe called the Klamaths, and there's actually a city named after them near this place. But they considered the lake to be a spiritual place that possessed great wisdom and strength. So it's interesting. A lot of these amazing places that we have national parks at now used to be very spiritual Native American areas. So just a little bit of interesting history. I've got some kind of interesting facts about the area, Joe, so maybe I'll quiz you here.
Okay.
What's the highest point in the park?
I'm going to guess there's not many places over 10,000 feet. Like I feel like there's some mountains there, but it's not like there's no 14ers, I'm guessing.
Actually, the highest peak is 12,000 feet. So you can do some pretty good alpine hiking.
I'm going to say I was kind of right then.
You were kind of right. I won't quiz you anymore, but
Okay.
A couple other interesting facts about the park. The lake is 1,949 feet deep, making it the deepest lake in the U.S., so just think about that. If you live in the Midwest, you could fit the Sears Tower into it, and I don't think you'd be able to see it. So it's a very deep lake. Interesting, scientists estimated that it took over 250 years for Crater Lake to fill to its present levels. So just think about that for a minute. A lot of trails in the park. There's 140 miles of trails in the park. And there's only been one person in the history of the park to descend to the bottom of the lake, which was a guy named, now I'm going to butcher this, Mark Boehlke. And I'm sure I butchered it.
Boehlke.
And
Yeah.
he made it to the bottom of the lake in a submersible deep rover. I'm imagining probably similar to something that James Cameron went down in to view the Titanic. So,
Yeah, it would have to be with that much water, and the poundage per square foot just would crush anything other than a special submarine.
And obviously, because this lake was created by a volcano, there's no flowing streams into it. So all of the water you see in the lake is from precipitation and snowmelt. So an interesting.
I know we learned that last time, but the new one is obviously that they say it took about 250 years. So, I mean, that's crazy. It's 250 years of rain and snowmelt to fill the thing up.
And, they get a lot of snow there. So the climate is very wintry and cold most of the year. They average about 533 inches of snow, or over 44 feet a year. So this makes it one of the most snowiest places in the world. Most of the year, so October through May, deep snow pretty much curtails access to most of the park. So keep that in mind about this case. So Samuel went missing in October. So you're getting into the period of the park where it gets very difficult to move around. So yeah, they say snow covers the park for about 8 months of the year. Very extreme weather. It gets very cold. Obviously, it's snowing 44 feet a year, so it's not uncommon to have one snow event where it could snow, 5 feet.
That's insane. That's like there's very few days out of the year where there's just not snow on the ground, it just seems like.
Yeah, so this is why park officials really stress that people visiting the park in the winter need to be prepared to be potentially stuck out there for, long periods of time, because as you'll find out later in this case, if you go missing in Crater Lake National Park during the winter, search and rescue may not be able to get to you because sometimes the weather is bad enough they can't fly helicopters.
Jeez.
There's avalanche issues in the park, so that happens. So it's a very pretty dangerous park to hike when it's, October through May. And even in the summer, there's a lot of lightning in the couple months that it's, warmer out. And so they warn hikers about lightning strikes in the summer. And which is funny because snow sometimes stays on the ground into July. So your summer in Crater Lake is a month or two. Crater Lake was created by a volcano. The volcano collapsed about 7,700 years ago to form what we know now as Crater Lake. So it's been there a while. Another interesting thing about Crater Lake that I think was a factor in this case was it's heavily wooded. And there's a lot of rock formations and drops and crevasses, and it's really rough terrain, and it's one of those areas where you could be walking down the trail and there could be somebody hiding off the trail and you might not see them. 5 feet off the trail. It's that dense.
That makes it more likely that you're going to have those incidences where people can go missing and the search and rescue effort will just be hindered by the brush.
Exactly. Yeah. So we've probably covered a few other cases where the brush is this thick, but definitely is a factor in this case. As far as the dangers present in the park, like we said, the number one danger is probably weather exposure. So if you're caught out there from October to May and you're not prepared, the likelihood of you being able to survive is going to be very low. As far as animals, they do have black bears occasionally seen in the park. From my research, they don't have a precise number on how many. There are other animals in the park that include coyotes, elk, porcupines. The wildlife isn't going to be what gets you in this park. It's definitely going to be the weather. As far as vegetation, it's dominated by ponderosa pines. It sounds like an amazing place to hike. I'm sure because the weather shuts the park down for most of the year, it's probably really busy in July and August, in September. As far as, shelter, there are a lot of rock outcroppings, so there is a chance if you got lost in the park that you could probably find shelter.
Okay.
But that would also make it harder for search and rescue teams to find you. So I would say if you're backcountry hiking in this park, it's a difficult park to hike in based on terrain, weather conditions. Anybody hiking there should take extreme caution when, preparing.
Yeah, it's kind of, if you're going for the weekend, you might want to pack supplies for a 5-day stay to be extra careful. Give yourself an extra couple days of rations and things just to make sure that you have no issues and have experience.
Yeah, have experience. And, if I was doing a deep backcountry trip in Crater Lake, I'd probably carry one of those search and rescue beacons.
Oh yeah.
Just to play it safe. It's a cool park, but you gotta take precautions for the terrain and weather.